morning, everyone. Welcome. Hope everybody is doing well. So, we are done with dieting and we are moving into initially, obviously, a reverse and then ultimately into a grow phase. So, what we've done essentially this week is we have increased my food a little bit and we've dropped my cardio down. I'm still going to keep some cardio in because I definitely have noticed that kind of being fitter is definitely helping me with my leg days. Obviously, you need an element of cardio for your training, and in particular leg days. So actually we're going to keep sort of, initially we've got 3 in per week, and we'll see kind of how we get on. Might drop it down to kind of 2 sort of cardio sessions a week alongside my 4 strength sessions. But I definitely noticed a difference for just keeping that baseline of fitness in. So what I plan to do is do the cardio on, I have 3 rest days a week from the strength training. So I plan to have 1 full rest day where I do nothing. And then I will have 2 of the rest days where I will do cardio. And then I will keep the cardio off of my leg days, because I sort of do anything between sort of 14 to 16k of walking with obviously Winnie, plus obviously legs, and a big part of growing is the recovery as well. It's not just a case of pushing yourself and then doing excessive amounts. It's about finding that kind of sweet spot that's going to allow you to progress, but also it's going to allow you to recover. So that is the current plan. I was really happy with kind of the look for this mini cut. Obviously the goal wasn't to kind of get stage lean or anything, but it was to kind of sort of pull back, essentially freshen up the body, getting yourself a little bit leaner when you're into kind of bodybuilding. It allows you to kind of see, okay, in that growth phase, because when the goal is to build muscle, you are going to accumulate some body fat, and you can do it in a very structured way. Gaining excessive amounts of body fat isn't really, in my personal opinion, the optimal way to do it. But it just allows you to kind of, pull back and kind of ultimately see what's been built, what was body fat. And it's good to kind of see that there's definitely been some improvements from last year. It's literally a year ago, the weekend just gone, that I competed. So yeah, definitely feel that there's been improvements obviously so I competed last October, and between then I have only dieted for 8 weeks out of that time. And that's ultimately what you want to do. Like, if you want to be building muscle, the longer you can stay growing, the more muscle ultimately you're going to be able to build, and that's where your physique's really going to change. So we did a very nice controlled reverse out of my show, got my hormones into a really good place. We had a really kind of controlled rate of gain, like you don't need to be in an excessive surplus. So I was really probably eating just over my maintenance, which allowed me to obviously grow and probably accumulate the optimal amount of body fat for my body, which is why we've pulled back, freshened up the body, and now we're in a good place to grow. So yeah, successful mini cut, reversing out now, and then obviously moving into a structured grow phase, and we will run this probably for a good few weeks this side of Christmas. We're not really going to change the split. I definitely think the split that I was on before, so I had upper once a week, we had glutes and hams with a little bit of delts at the end, we had a quad day, and then we had a glutes and quad day. And I definitely feel that that's kind of brought me up and kind of balanced out the areas that we needed, and as you go further through your journey, if you are looking to kind of do bodybuilding, initially when I just started, it was very much a case of, I just need to build muscle everywhere. But then as you get further into your journey, your training does become a little bit more fine-tuning based on the areas that you need to bring up. We definitely wanted to put still a focus on bringing up the quads, but we've put a little bit more glute volume in now, and a little bit more volume in sort of bringing up my top line, and that's essentially worked well. So yeah, the plan is to kind of run that program again. It's that saying, don't fix what's not broken. I like my training. I like my split. So yeah, we're keeping it the same. So I've been to the gym this morning. It's Tuesday today, Tuesday the 21st of October. So I don't have check-ins directly on a Tuesday. So I'm getting up, getting my session done early so that I can get back and do I've got calls in the afternoon with some clients. And I've got sort of like quite a bit of sort of admin, content, marketing. It's not just being an online coach, isn't just the coaching. There's also other parts to it, you know, and I've also got kind of some studying because I always believe that there's always more to know. So I've got a little bit of homework from my mentor. So I will have the day to sit in the office and essentially go through all of those things today. So yeah, I'll take you through some of my meals today. Ultimately, nothing has really changed other than we've increased some portion sizes of the current meals that I was on. I enjoyed the food that I was on. I much prefer to just have a meal plan in the sense of that it's one less thing for me to think about. But if there are times when I want to change my food, I want to swap something out, I very much kind of know how to do that. But I'm happy with meal plans. We've simply just increased some portion sizes. So you're probably going to see the same food that I was eating when I was dieting, but we're eating more of it. And that's what it's all about. So yeah, I'm going to get stuck into a bit of work now. I've just put my post-workout on and then I will catch you in a bit. It's always a bit funny when you're eating a salad at 10 o'clock. But anyway, I've got sometimes I have chicken, sometimes I have beef, and then I'll have chicken for tea instead of my beef. So I've got beef for my protein, a little bit of veggies for the micronutrients, and then I've got some Weetabix with some raspberries and a little bit of sweetener on it. So yeah, literally what I was having before, just more cereals. Just come down to have my lunch. The cleaner's also arrived. I do have a cleaner once a week. That's my little I don't drink alcohol, we don't buy takeaways, so my weekly cleaner is my treat, and she always does a lovely job. There's nothing better than just having a really nice tidy house, and even better when you don't actually have to do it yourself. So I'm just going to come down and have my lunch now. So sourdough, salad and eggs, and simply what we've done with this is just the amount of sourdough I'm having now is more than I was having before. And I think when you move into coming out of a diet phase, I think sometimes it can be quite hard, in the sense of that you are going to have to change the focus of kind of what you're aiming for with regards to your progressions. And I think for some people, like I have some clients where we have to diet for a period of time, but you cannot just constantly diet. At the end of the day, like, your body doesn't want to stay in a calorie deficit. It down-regulates a lot of things. So for some clients, they may have to run a fat loss phase for a period of time, and then maybe they need to go to maintenance and have a little bit of a break. And that can kind of be sometimes quite hard, because although dieting is hard, the reward is that you're seeing your body change, and maybe it's changing in the direction that you want it. So I think things that I essentially kind of focus on when I move out of it is more about sort of, you know, having that day-to-day energy. It's interesting actually, because I think when you diet, I definitely think that you are more conscious of how you look. Maybe you look at yourself in the mirror a little bit more, like, okay, like, how do I feel in my clothes? Whereas kind of when I switch over, like we've started this reverse on Friday, we're now on Tuesday, and I'd probably say that I haven't really looked at myself. I've just focused on the fact that I've got more food. I've definitely noticed a difference in energy, and it becomes less about, oh my god, is my waist getting smaller, and more just about the positives of what being on more food is going to do. Like, it's going to drive my training performance up. I'm going to have more day-to-day energy, and And these are the things I think that you need to focus your energy on, you know, making progressions within the gym, you know, not necessarily seeing the scale weight kind of not coming down anymore, seeing these things as a negative. And I suppose I've done so many of these phases now that I think my brain's very good at switching in between. But I think for some people, like I said, if you have got to have a break, you know, and switching your mindset to kind of focus on other things, not the scale weight going down, potentially not seeing yourself getting leaner, it can be hard. So yeah, have other things essentially that you measure your progress against, because I think otherwise you're just in a phase where maybe you're like, am I even actually making any progress? So yeah, I'm gonna have this meal now, and then I'm gonna do a little bit of work downstairs on the laptop, and then I've got 3 client calls this afternoon, which will be lovely, and I need to fit in doing my steps at some point. So I think I might, they always get done because of Winnie, and I always have like rough timings with my steps, and I think for a lot of people you would probably benefit from doing that, because I think especially if you do like a desk job, you can end up just working, and then before you know it, you haven't moved. And I think if you do something like that, obviously if you do a job that you're active and you are on your feet all day, you probably don't even really have to think about your steps. But I definitely think that if you are quite sedentary, if your job is quite sedentary, you need to schedule in your walks like you would many other things, like scheduling in your training. So I normally always start my morning with a walk. And then I normally do a walk sort of either after lunch or in the afternoon, and then I always do one before or after dinner, and it's part of my routine to kind of do that. So I definitely think you need to factor them in, because, you know, movement is important for us. Obviously you don't need to be going out and doing thousands every day, because that in the end can become counterproductive. You know, 15-20,000 steps. But definitely kind of having that regular movement throughout your day can make a big difference. And I also think to your mood, like I definitely find breaking up my day, breaking up the desk, or just getting outside in the fresh air, it actually makes me feel better, and it definitely makes me feel more productive. You know, and there's many other benefits to walking, like, you know, aids digestion, it helps with your blood sugar levels. You know, if we think years and years and years ago, people didn't sit down for like 8-9 hours a day, whereas now, obviously, because of a lot of jobs that we do. So yeah, factor them in. So me and Winnie will go for a little walk, I think, in between clients. For now, I'm just going to have this lovely meal. I try not to eat, like earlier I did have my post-workout at the desk, because I was just like, I need to get back and get cracking on with work. But normally I do like to not eat in the office. Like I like to come down and have like 15 minutes to just kind of eat, because we shouldn't really be eating in a stress state. So actually just taking, you know, some allocated time to just come away, have your meals, is often much better for us anyway. So yeah, have this meal, give some steps, do some calls, and then I'll catch you in a bit. Just having meal 4. Got my oats, got some Brazil nuts, a bit of peanut butter. Always put my whey on. Well, I mix a little bit of the whey into the oats, but I cook the oats first, boiling hot water. Then I mix a little bit of the whey through, and then I make the rest of it into a sauce. I've probably talked about this, but I do get a lot of people that go, what is that on the top of your oats? And basically it's just your whey. And it's nice to have a little sauce. So I think the only increase for this is that we just increased the portion of oats. So quite nice to have this now in the afternoon. What is the time now? 10 to 4. So yeah, I'll have this meal now. Crack on with work. Already know what I'm having for dinner tonight. I'm having chicken. I'm having potatoes in the air fryer with a bit of salad and a little bit of feta. So that'll be lovely. So like I said earlier, just I think knowing what you're going to eat. Not all, you don't have to do that all of the time. Like I do have some clients that do macros, and I very much like to kind of teach them about macros, because I think sometimes I've seen it happen before where it just turns into like, how many treats can we actually fit into our macros? And especially like for smaller females, like at the end of the day, we are going to be on less food. So let's just take, for example, you've got a small female who needs to diet on 1,500 calories, and you're doing macros and you're just trying to factor in loads of treats and these sort of like proteiny, that you see nowadays. You can have like protein crisps and protein puddings and all of these things. And I think like every now and then, but if you've had like 600 of your calories that have come from that, there isn't any nutrients in that, which then means that you're not probably, okay, you might in theory lose weight, but you probably ain't going to feel very good. So I often find that if clients do macros, absolutely fine, but they need to understand the foundations of it's not just calories, protein, carbs and fats, but also the quality of the diet makes a massive difference. And I work with a lot of clients nowadays that have sort of hormone issues, potentially have gut issues, because I think that is becoming a lot more common. And I do think that maybe down to kind of lifestyle choices, not for everybody. For some people, they do just, run into hormone issues, and actually their lifestyle kind of was pretty good. But we do tend to see a trend that potentially there are a lot of lifestyle choices that could be bringing those symptoms on. So whereas I just prefer to just have a meal plan. I know what I like. It's packed with nutrients. I enjoy all of my meals, and it's one less thing to think about. So yeah, that's my little rant going on. Anyway, I'm gonna eat this meal now, crack on with some work. Got another couple of calls, and then I'll catch you in a bit. Good morning. I didn't film the rest of the day. My calls ran over a little bit, so I think I finished work at about 7:15, which then meant that I had to scrabble to get the meal prep done, get the dinner done, have dinner, walk Winnie, and then also be in bed by 8:45, because I like to protect my sleep and I understand the importance of it. And I did have a lovely sleep, and I'm feeling very lovely this morning. I had just having my coffee, been out with Winnie this morning. I'm just doing a little bit of work now, and then I've got some personal training today. I've got rest day for me today, but I do my cardio today, so I'll go up and do my cardio before PT, and then I've got calls. Got my mentoring call this afternoon with Vicky, which I very, very much enjoy. Learning lots of things to be able to help clients excel in what I do. So I very much do enjoy having that, and I think investing in learning and stuff like that is something that I'm very passionate about, because I think there's always things that you can learn, and if I can give back to my clients in many positive ways, then I will continue to do that. So yeah, I'm just going to sit and have my coffee. My weight this morning is funny actually, because I do tend to weigh every day, but where I've switched to obviously moving into a phase where I'm not dieting anymore, I've subconsciously just forgotten to weigh every morning, because for me it becomes less about that. Yes, the scale weight is obviously going to go up in a grow phase, and we want to kind of we still want to track the weight to make sure that we're having that steady rate of gain, but I think it just becomes less of like a focus for me. So actually I've not weighed myself for a few days, and I think my weight was something like up by 0.3, which isn't really a lot considering we've put my food up and pulled a bit of my expenditure down. So just goes to show that my body obviously wanted that food. So yeah, I'm probably going to leave this YouTube here for now. Nothing majorly exciting, just updating you, I suppose, on the
on the reverse and ultimately what the plan is moving forward. I think I'm training at Culture again on Sunday, so maybe I'll film that one. That'd be a glutes and quads day. And if there's anything that you want particularly kind of covered in like the grow phase, I think I want to document the grow phase, because I think it's in a really important phase for people to understand, because in many sentences it's a nice phase, like being on more food, having more energy, feeling really strong in the gym. But then there's also, you know, some hard parts of this phase, like, you know, you aren't going to be leaner, your weight is going to go up. You may get to a point where you do feel a little bit uncomfortable in how you look. You know, ultimately you are potentially going to look worse before you look better. So I want to kind of document that, document my training, document my routine, document essentially, you know, what I eat, although it is quite samey. So be prepared to see me eat the same meals on repeat. But yeah, I want to ultimately kind of, you know, document the push phase, show you kind of what I get up to, kind of what my physique looks like, and go from there really. So yeah, hope you've enjoyed. Like I said, if there's anything that you want me to cover in particular, then let me know. But I will catch you on the next one.